Light breaks the shadow of the weary heart. Truth cuts the dark like a flaming dart. Voices rising strong to lift the call. This is the time we give it all. Lynne Scott Haggerman bringing the fire. Words that ignite hearts burning higher. Faith and power, no chains can bind. Step into the light and leave fear behind.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Lynne Scott Haggerman, and you are in the Lynne Scott Haggerman Podcast, where truth has no filter, freedom is our mission, and light exposes the darkness. Praise God. I'm your host, Lynne Scott Haggerman. I'm a survivor of child trafficking and medical experimentation underground at U.S. University Medical Center in conjunction with our government through MK Ultra mind control. I am the voice they tried to silence, and I am silent no more. Today, I'm also an international award-winning human resource consultant and a marathoner standing strong in mind, body, and spirit, including using the LifeWave technology, where I'm an independent distributor at Live Younger with Lynne, LYNNE.com, where I sell LifeWave X39 and Cellergize stem cell activation patches. They are the wearable medbed. You can also visit QGrit, the letter Q, grit.org, which is my website in order to help children who are trafficked, who've been rescued, and adults healing from any forms of trauma, and lynnehaggerman.com, where I offer human resource consulting services. Now I'd like you to welcome my guests, and let's get to the truth. So hello, Mother Pigeon Tina and Jason.
Lynne, hello, Lynne. Nice to see you.
It's so wonderful to see you. What I want to do, I want to introduce my audience to you both. And so I have information about your background that I want to share. So both of you are incredible guests. You're using art, you're using music, you're using activism to defend the voiceless, both humans and animals. And that resonates with my spirit too, because I have often said I am a voice of the voiceless, all of the little ones who are being harmed. And you also are a voice of the voiceless, animals and people. So I'm just excited to have you here. But I want to, both of you are amazing as individuals too. So Piña Trachtenburg, you are known as an actress across New York City as Mother Pigeon, a street artist, a performer, animal advocate, who's transformed the sidewalks of Union Square into powerful statements of compassion. Your handmade felt pigeons and live puppet performances aren't just whimsical. They're a bold stand against cruelty, especially the shocking rise in illegal pigeon poaching happening right now in New York City. It's sad and it's tragic, and we're going to get into that more. No one likes to see God's little creatures harmed. Joining her is Jason, her husband, Jason Trachtenburg, a brilliant musician, playwright, and off-Broadway performer. He's known for the Trachtenberg family slideshow players, Me and Lee the Musical, which is a story about Judith Very Baker, who I've had on the show. She was Lee Harvey Oswald's girlfriend at the time of the assassination. And Jason's also known for a body of work that blends humor, history, and activism. Together, they create powerful narratives that awaken both hearts and minds. They're here to share their mission, their movement, and the urgent call to protect our urban wildlife through truth, creativity, and community. And I welcome both of you to my show. It's an honor to have you on. And I do want to encourage everyone to go to their YouTube channel, where you can see all of their amazing videos, puppet shows, songs, street performances. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynne. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So let's jump right in. What Well, let's jump into your background. Let's get to know you first before we hear about your activism. So whichever one wants to start first, tell me about your history a little bit and what led you to starting to fight for the animals, for the pigeons.
The background on that is that we as a couple have always loved animals and art. So through our art, we have been elevators of the unwanted, the just that that we've always wanted to elevate those that needed to be elevated, and those are animals for us. And so we started doing that in our artwork, in our music, and that started a long time ago. Like how long?
And at least, I guess it's always been part of what we do, right? I mean, specifically with the Pigeon mission, as it is, going on 10 years, and we're even at this point taking it even further, blending the worlds of
20 years since we wrote our first Pigeon song.
We just gained 10 years right there.
20 years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And we're actually about to embark on another huge melding of the art and music idea. Yeah, we see. Tina forgot about it. That's how exciting it is.
But the thing is that nobody rallies behind a pigeon, right? Who would do that? But then once you start doing that, then you find, as I'm sure you have found, Lynn, that when you do speak up for someone, that other people are doing the same thing, and you can't believe that that we've all been kind of pushed under, but then you realize and that others feel the same, and that gives you a lot of hope and a lot of strength to continue your plight too. And for me, I'm a devout Catholic, so when I pray, when I connect with God, Jesus Christ, and I have been really influenced immensely by Saint Francis of Assisi, the monk Thomas Merton, who will never excuse themselves for sticking up for a bird or a tree or a flower, God's creation. So a lot of times I would find myself being like, oh God, yeah, I'm doing that. But you know what? No more. After I really connected with spirit, I feel so much stronger to be able to, just give that love out there to to what God has given us, really, as our gift.
I think that is so beautiful. So just to share on my end, so I'm a marathoner, so I run a lot, I'm outside a lot. And part of what I do too, I shared at the very beginning, is I'm a LifeWave distributor, and in a nutshell, that just helps with medical issues. So I'll say that, but animals and people. So one day I was out running, and there was a dog, and he was elderly, and his hips hurt him really bad. His owner was walking him. She was on his cell phone. You could tell just unintentionally was ignoring his pain. And I knew if I used what I had, which at that time would have been the LifeWave technology, he could have had a lot less pain, but I didn't have them with me. So from that day forward, I vowed everywhere I went, I would carry what I have to help humanity, including the animals. And if I saw someone in pain, I was going to do what I could to stop it. And so now when I run, I carry what I have, which are the LifeWave patch technology. And when I see an animal in pain, I'm getting ready to use it. And I have a friend who's a bishop, and he said, Lynn, he said, you're like Saint Francis of Assisi. So when you said that, it reminded me it's the same thing. You know, we're here. The poor little animals, they can't speak up for themselves, and we're here to help them. And I saw one of your photos online, something about they're cutting the little pigeons' wings off. I don't know. It was just horrific what they're doing to these. So share with me what they're doing to these poor little birds.
So this has been going on for decades. There are these private clubs in Pennsylvania. They are shooting gun clubs and private gun clubs. And what they do is they hire people in New York to go around to street corners, parks, and net the pigeons. So what they do is they put a net down, they put food on top, and then the pigeons come thinking, yay, you know, I'm being fed by loving people. And they snatch them up by the thousands, and then they drive them across state lines, and they drop them off at these. They sell them to the gun shoots, and at the gun shoots they cut their wings, and they put them in a catapult and they shoot them. That is their fun, and that is their income, and it's been going on, like I said, for at least 30 years. Nobody has cared at all. And what happened was, because I have a big social media following, it happened to my flock that I take care of, 300 pigeons that I take care of every day in the park. And so when it happened to my flock in April, I just posted a video crying and saying half of my flock is gone. It happened.
Oh,
It happened to my flock. These are pigeons that I have rehabbed, brought home. We take care of them. We raise them. We let them go. People will bring their pigeons to us because they rehab them, a hurt wing or a baby. And then we release them and we go, oh, they're going to be totally safe here because, I feed them every day. We give them fresh water. I pray for them. And I said, they're going to be totally safe. This is a great place for them. And we were doing it on my roof. Well, this was completely safe. And then my landlord decided, no more of that. So I had to train them to follow me to the park, which is only a block away. They were trained to go there. And so after they got trained, over the year, they all would meet me there in the morning. And then April 4th, I noticed that half of them were missing. And I just posted a video saying, I have really bad news, everybody. I had at that point, 30K followers, or probably over 50 at that point with all my other social media. And people went crazy. People were so upset and angry. And I had one of my followers say, you know what, let's do a protest. Let's really get these people. This is it, done. They messed with the wrong flock. And so we did. And after that, it was the New York Times, the New York Post, every publication did a story, every news channel. We were at the park. We were here every day doing interview, telling people what was going on. And thank God, it has stopped in my park, but it continues in other parks. One gentleman got caught doing it in Manhattan. He got arrested, but we don't know what's happening with that right now. And so we did do another protest in front of the place that actually hires people to net them and then hold them. And that's in Brooklyn, very close to me. And so the good news is that people now know what is going on when they see this. Before, people just thought, is that the city? What, some people would fight these guys. A lot of times these guys got beat up by pedestrians, by heroes, and so now they're not going to get away with it like that, because after being, the light put on it,
Yes.
we are able to get more tip-offs of when it happens, and we just continue. I was telling Jason today, that I ran into a couple that lives in Brooklyn. They've lived here their whole lives,
Yeah.
and they're a beautiful older couple. And they said to me, you really have to be careful, because you're putting your life in the hand. You are the safety is these people don't care. They, you're messing with their livelihood, and just be careful, because you and your husband are at stake here. And Jason said to me, I would die for certain causes, and I know that you die for this cause. I said, I obviously would die for this cause, or I would have never told them, I never would have exposed them. Certain people that are raised here in Brooklyn are raised with extreme trauma, and therefore they exude trauma, and they are not nice people. And a lot of these people are the ones that shoot the pigeons and think this is a good time. And so we have done this, and thank God we've been safe. After I did the first interview, I said, okay, well, at least everybody knows if something happens to me, they'll know who did it. And so the couple today said to me, be careful. These people don't care about you, and they know where you live, and they know that they can send anyone over to harm you and your husband. So just be really careful. And that did scare me. And I said, yeah, I know. I mean, I've carried protection with me. I am, doing what we can to take care of ourselves. And thank God we got through the main thing so far okay. And so it is a risky thing to have done. There is a way to go further with it, but at this point I'm feeling like that we're not going to do that we spread this very, very far with the New York Times, the New York Post, all of the big publications, that we don't need to go do more protests. We don't need to do those things anymore.
We don't need to challenge them as individuals, because we're not going to change them. It's more about, like, hopefully changing all of New Yorkers, which I think Tina did with the activism and all the press they got. And now we can continue by doing it through art and entertainment and all that stuff. But taking on the gangsters, us taking on gangsters probably isn't really a fair match. These are really big guys.
Yeah, with guns. And
in New York.
And so I feel like we are in a good place right now with all of it. And now we have these really wonderful. Lynn, before this, my dream, before any of this, my dream, I've already accomplished a million of my dreams. I just have to say thank you. But one of my next dream was to be the lady that makes. I have these rosaries that I love to make. I love making rosaries, and I made a bunch of rosaries, and I was like, oh, I want to be that lady that sits in front of the church and has a little table and sells her handmade rosaries. That's what I want. I don't want to be famous or do any of this stuff. And then bam, there I was on the New York Times, in the New York Times. So it doesn't matter what you want, as you know, Lynn.
Yes,
it's what
that's
God
right.
wants you to do. And so, I can have my dreams and we can have our dreams, and we'll see what happens. But right now we have some wonderful projects that Jason can elaborate on, that don't, aren't about, really fighting these guys, really.
They're not fighting at all. Just the
So,
opposite.
and before we do that, I have just a few follow-up questions because I know my audience is curious. So first of all, I love how you were sharing that your dream was to sell rosaries at a little table, and then look what God's dream was. So with me, I have just been sharing my testimony a year and a few months, and before that, my dream was to go to churches with 10 members and share my testimony. That was it. I was going to like hide speak. That was my big dream, hide speak. And then the very first time I spoke, God said, no, I want you to talk on Michael Jaco's podcast. And I don't know if you know him. He's former CIA Navy SEAL, and he had a following of like 125,000 or 120,000. And I'm like, God, don't you think that's kind of big? And he said, yes, I do. So it didn't really matter though. So I understand, you think you're going to sell rosaries at a little table, but no, you're performing major performances on the street. And I think what I think is beautiful is your relationship with God and how he asked you. To me, that's one of the major points of this story. It's the time that we're living in. And I hope my audience that's listening, when God has plans for each of us that are amazing. And when God taps us on the shoulder and asks us to do something to help humanity, the animals, the world, we can say no, and go. I could have, hidden and given my testimony. You could have been selling rosaries at a little church, but instead we said yes. And then we were in for the adventure of our life. And that's the amazing thing is I encourage people when God taps you on the shoulder, just, I encourage you to say yes. And then watch what a magnificent way that he uses you. I mean, you have, so I live in the Midwest. So New York is just, like a whole different world for me. But I know enough to know if there are two human beings who can rally New Yorkers around one cause for good and what's right and what's just, that is an amazing thing. And my hat's off to you. I mean, and so is my heart. It touches me deeply what you've done.
Thank you, Lynn. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Yes,
There's
it is.
many miracles, many beautiful miracles every day for all of us. You just see them and you have gratitude for them. Yeah, so when this started, I was just like, this is a miracle that this is getting out. All of the animal activists that have been working on this for 30 years have never gotten anything. Zero. Crickets. And unfortunately, my flock and many other flocks were sacrificed for this. And but we are going up, and this is a better time. And like you said, well, I guess listeners, and you said when God, calls you, maybe you will listen. There's many times that I didn't listen, and I don't know. I think a lot of times I do listen, and I feel it. I feel the call. I feel nothing will, nothing's going to stop me from whatever's happening here. And it's it is our, I don't know if I want to say duty. It's our responsibility to be here and be that for God. So yeah, I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for Jason, who is incredible at collaborating and making this all happen. And for people like you, Lynn, who are out there, doing your thing. So but yeah, so we have these other projects that we're doing that are surrounding all of that. And do you want to?
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on for sure. I guess I can tell you about our most recent one, or more follow-ups in regards to the pigeon stuff. But yeah, like just to follow up on what Tina was saying, it was just a tremendous media avalanche and exciting storm, which is like the phone went off the hook, and just get the word out of that. It was just, I think they were really drawn to the story because of Tina, because it was this interesting artist, and who just had a whole take on activism, then and intent. So too, and I think obviously they could feel that. But so
yeah, that's a good point for your listeners too. So if you have something that you want to someone or something you want to shine light on or elevate in some manner, I think it's very important to open your heart and just do not worry about what anyone tells you. Really.
Amen.
I mean, you are going to get so many people telling you, what the heck are you doing? Why would you do that? And then you will hear God be like, you're good. Yeah. Keep going.
That's right.
You'll know. But
yes, I can verify. I mean, in my own life, it's the same. And I know my listeners who have different callings will verify it too. And this is how we change the world. One person at a time, one animal at a time. This is how we help humanity and get to the other side of where we're at now.
Yep.
There's so many possibilities. And also one meal at a time as well too. We could do so much as far as like what we're taking into our system, with whatever foods agree with us. Food choices are a personal thing, but I think it's how we take it in, how we prepare the meal. We can change ourselves one meal at a time as well too, and then have that intent and focus to do all the stuff that we do as far as our work and interactions and fun stuff and art stuff and serious things as well too. But yeah, one meal at a time as well.
Yes, very good.
Just going to throw that in there.
Well, Jason is an extremely healthy eater, and we both do not eat animals. We're vegans, and Jason is more so a whole foods diet, like more like I mean, I like my processed foods. Don't get me wrong, I like my bread and all that stuff. But Jason doesn't do any of that.
There's good breads and bad breads all over the world.
But he makes a good point, because if we have energy, we're taking in energy, and the energy is alive with fruits and vegetables and grains, and that gives you more strength, as you talked about.
Yeah, how else can you function? You can't function without it. Without that, it's almost the rest of the stuff isn't even possible to be done done in a way that's comfortable. But speaking of, so we have a new act that we're going to be debuting here in New York, and it's kind of a culmination of everything we've ever done before. And this is actually the world premiere of us announcing it anywhere. This is the first time.
Oh, I'm so honored. Okay, I'm all ears.
It's a Patriots Prayer Network exclusive. Here we go.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Right here, the 29-minute mark of the show. Okay, so I'm a professional. Okay.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. So Tina and I are starting a new musical project called Mother Pigeon's Southern Revival.
Oh, I love it.
Together, here we go.
Mother
Mother
Pigeon
Pigeon
Southern
Southern
Revival.
Revival. And it's going to involve fun costumes of animals, the city animals, including the rat, the raccoon. Of course, Frankie the pigeon will be there. Mother Pigeon, of course, it all surrounds her as almost like a Dolly Parton-like character. But it's going to be activism and fun music, all with a Southern flair. It's all going to be my country songs, my guitar stuff that I do. I'm mostly I do kind of like I go country if I have to. And so
Yeah, you can.
thank you. So what happens is there's a new establishment opened up here in New York called the very well-known country singer Lucinda Williams opened up a venue in New York, and it's become very, very hip. So just between us and your listeners and viewers, we established this act just for this venue because we want to make a real big splash there. But it's also similar to what we've been doing before, but not necessarily country music. So we're going straight country because it's a Nashville style venue. There's Nashville style, and different rules do apply in Nashville, as we all know, on the music scene.
Yes.
So it's called Mother Pigeon Southern Revival, and we're gonna just maybe take the city by storm with this. It's a lot of fun, or if not, just continue on a long line of these projects that we do, and we try, and we push, and we just try something else. And we're definitely never stuck on one genre or one theme. And we're really good at bouncing ideas off each other. It's a really good mix. If we were both songwriters, or if we were both crafters, or what if we were both poets, or God forbid if we were both stand-up comedians or something like that.
Jason.
There's no way we'd be able to put out the kind of material that we do.
That's another important thing too, is that we're creative beings, and it's important to keep your creativity flowing. A lot of people, I've never done anything like that. Well, you know what? Doesn't matter. Pick up a paintbrush, a needle and thread, and a guitar, and create something. It really is. It is what God intended us to do.
Yes.
And there's lots of outlets for these things too. Lots of you don't need to have a big record contract, fancy manager, or be on American Bandstand. I'm dating myself a little bit here. That's okay. There's open mics. There's people just getting together with salons, song salons, poetry salons. People of different backgrounds and so-called coming from different sides, all coming together to talk about what they agree upon, as opposed to just and having these open conversations. And not just excluding all groups of people because they're different than you. It's not going to work. We have to bring everyone together for these and through poetry, art, music, and cooking.
I agree. I love that. And so that's your newest venture. And what are some of your existing ventures? I know I've been really enjoying the Mother Pigeon puppet show on YouTube. So is that still something that you're working on, or?
Yeah, yes, and I would definitely encourage all your listeners and viewers to check out the Mother Pigeon YouTube channel. We do a children's show. There's children's programming on YouTube. There's no commercials. You're not allowed to make comments on the videos. It's actually kind of a safe place for kids and stuff. We obviously don't encourage kids to watch screens by any means. No screens by any means. That's our next campaign. And that would be, but for YouTube, there's us. You can watch our YouTube channel and stuff. And so we do fun kid stuff, like you can see. We do children's entertainment, but it's good for the parents like it too. It's important for the parents to not be turned off by their children's entertainment. That's important.
And it's really great material. We talk about just sweet things like, feeding birds and being kind to animals. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's great. It's great for children.
So we're definitely still doing the puppet show. We still have Frankie the Pigeon, apparently. He might make a quick cameo here. It's me! Welcome to our viewers and listeners. I can't say it either. What a coincidence. So, we still do puppet shows on the fly. Puppet shows on the fly, right, Tina? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I'm in puppet mode and have to regain my focus. That we're doing an interview.
I love that.
And so everything's always musical. Everything's always artistic. It's always musical because I have to provide the musical soundtrack. It's artistic because Tina has to provide the fabric of the background.
So lucky I can say, can you write me a song about stars and moon and the sea?
Yeah.
It's done.
And we do it together too, as well. So or I'd be like, Tina, can you fix this shirt? Actually, can you fix this shirt, Tina? Or say, can you, or create a wonderful backdrop for this video, or help me with some costumes for my musical. Or we're at the musical now. Someone's having a fashion, what do they call it? A fashion malfunction?
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Someone, it's like Sharon needs her dress fixed. So Tina can definitely do anything.
That's amazing. I love that. And so walk me through too. And I have to go back in time just a bit because I still have the pigeons on my mind, and I just have to. I have to go back in time a bit with the question: when did the first pigeon arrive? I mean, what started that? What started that, Tina?
What started the whole love and caring for pigeons is
Yeah.
Well, I've always loved feeding animals. And so when we moved here in the 80s, we would go to the park and sit on a bench and feed the birds, what New Yorkers do. And then I started feeding them in my neighborhood. And then I found out that the pigeons that are in your neighborhood are your neighbors. They live there. They're homing birds. So they stay in your neighborhood. And so I ended up developing a kinship with them. And then they, would make families, and then they bring in their other friends, and it just becomes a whole group of pigeons if you are caring for them.
And so then you fast forward that to your puppet show. So I know the pigeons are central, but you have the rat. I think there's a squirrel. So tell me about the animals in the puppet show and why you chose those.
Okay. So when I first started doing the pigeon sculptures, people were like, why would you pick a pigeon? Everyone hates the pigeons. And I said, well, that's exactly why I picked the pigeon. And I've always been, because I was raised by a family that were a very religious family. My mother especially loved everyone. And so she, I don't know, I think I got my emotional heart from my mother, who loved just everyone she was around. And so I, if there was a child in the classroom that nobody liked, I would be the one to say, I like that person, and they're going to be my friend. And then I would make this person be popular because of the love that I'm giving. And they say that when you love something or someone, it spreads that love. So I have always just wanted to be, I'm attracted to the animals that people don't like. And so that would be a raccoon. Rats, people can, or can't stand rats. And so I see the beauty in a rat. I see the beauty in a raccoon. And so as I say, the animals are saints, basically. All animals, they don't do any harm ever unless you harm them first. They will never. I mean, you can't think of, I can't think of an animal that if you just sit and leave them alone, they will never, ever hurt you. I especially love those that everyone does not like. And so people are like, oh, well, why don't you, have a cardinal or, this or that? Well, everyone loves a cardinal. Everyone loves a squirrel. So I picked the raccoon, the rat, and the
Pigeon.
pigeon. Those are my favorite.
That's amazing. So I live more in town. It just reminds me of a story. So I used to have a pet rat. I just want to say, yeah. And whenever I was getting so I have my master's degree in industrial organizational psychology. And to be able to get my master's degree, I taught a class about classical conditioning, which is basically positive reinforcement works. Being positive with other people works, but we used animals. And so I was able to use rats, and people would keep them for pets after class. So every student got a rat, and then we would teach the rats to basically perform. I mean, like for real, like what you guys are doing. And they would earn food, you know, by doing certain, it's like you taught your pigeons to follow. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing, but I can relate. So you taught pigeons to follow you a block away. We taught rats to, you know, stand up, turn around. I mean, they were performing, and it was all to teach about, and they did it for food. It was all to teach about the power of positive reinforcement. And then afterward, the majority of students kept their rats as pets. And side note, the only problem was sometimes people so rats get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so sometimes that became a problem because they would get so huge, you know, to be a pet in the home. And my rat, you know, passed before it got super big. But I mean, truly, they're friendly little things, you know, and they have sweet little natures, just like, I mean, they are God's creatures too. So when you talked about the rat, I thought, okay, I'm going to share. I'm not sure I've ever shared with anyone about my pet rat, Tina. So that's another first on Patriots Prayer Network.
I love that. I always say that whenever I do my street performances and I'm out there selling my you know things, and people will come and tell me, I have a rat, and they'll tell me, and I let the rat lick my face. You know, it's like a confessional. I become a confessional to oh, I found a pigeon and we've had this in our house for 10 years, you know, and it's just, it really is funny, you know, people like, oh, I hate humans, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Some humans aren't so great, but there are wonderful humans.
Yes, there are wonderful humans. So I'm going to take a minute and we're going to do a brief commercial. And then I want to come back and talk about some of your plays, Jason, that you've done. So let me pause for a commercial here.
Life Empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science, at longevity, at exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
So we're back, and with LifeWave, that is the stem cell activation technology with the X39 and Synergize. So welcome back. I knew Tina wasn't feeling well, and she did awesome. I mean, she did amazing. But welcome back, Jason.
Thank you. If that's not feeling well, I'd like to see what feeling good is.
I know. She said she didn't feel well, but I thought, you know, you'd never know. So, everyone, be in prayer.
Thank you. And she will be back to say goodbye to everyone at the end.
Okay, good.
Because that's showbiz tradition. That's the way it's done.
I love this. So, Jason, you are very, very talented in many areas. Musician, playwright, off-Broadway performer. So tell me about some of your works. I know specifically you and I have had conversations of the Me and Lee. And for my audience, I interviewed Judith Very Baker. I have my own Rumble podcast too, the Lynne Scott Haggerman Show, and I interviewed her for 2.5 hours. She's going to be a guest on again, but she was Lee Harvey Oswald's girlfriend at the time of the JFK assassination. And so she talks all about that, all about her life. And she wrote a book called Me and Lee. And what I think is amazing is before the podcast, a few days ago, Jason and I were talking, and he said, oh, yeah, I know her too. And I did a musical, and I got to meet all of these. That was most astounding too, Jason. You got to meet so many of the people who survived, lived during that time. They were there that day. So let's talk about this.
Yes. So it's just a testament to Judith's story that so many of the living witnesses who are still alive today, who are mostly in their 80s, obviously, are flocked to her. And her convention that she does, she has a JFK Truth Convention every November in Dallas. It's happening again this year. And then every October, she does a Lee Oswald New Orleans birthday walk around October 18th for Lee's birthday as well, too. So Lee Oswald was an American hero. He did not shoot Kennedy. He risked his life. Yeah, he risked his life trying to protect him on several occasions as well, too. And so Judith's story, when she came out of the woodworks in the early 90s, really kind of just blew the roof off of so many other, assassination researcher stories who were not living witnesses. And a lot of people also, like Judith says, because she's a woman, they also don't want to take her as seriously as well too. But her story adds up so completely. It's only a troll or just someone looking to be contrary would try and would pick it apart. Whereas the Warren Commission can be picked apart, from beginning to end. So we love Judith Very Baker. I wrote a musical based on her story called Me and Lee. It's available on Trine Day Press. The book is, and my musical Me and Lee the musical is on YouTube. So it's pretty easy to find. Judith did vet it for accuracy. She also helped me with the pronunciations of everybody's last name. I did work on my Lee Oswald accent a little bit for that time on how to be able to properly speak like him.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you. And so, but of course, his whole life is pretty well documented, especially with all those radio and TV appearances that he made as well too. And you look closely at who sponsored that radio appearance of INCA, the Informational Council of the Americas. It was Dr. Alton Oshner, who Judith was working for. It's there. It's right there, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. It's just so obvious. And Judith was the first one to put it all together with her story about the connection between the cancer research,
yes,
the bioweapon for Castro, and Lee Oswald's involvement in it. Jack Ruby's involvement in it. David Ferrier's involvement in it, and Carlos Marcello, and she knew all these people personally. And of course, Clay Shaw, and and the rest.
Yes.
Guy Bannister. Guy Bannister was the name I was looking for. Guy Bannister, Jack Lewis, Jackass Martin, known as Jack Martin, and David Lewis, his assistant, the famous Lewis and Martin team. So all these names were known in the assassination lore for years and years, except for Oshner. He wasn't known, although his picture's on the back of Lee's record from 1964. Lee Oswald made a record in 1964. Just like the Rolling Stones did. I have it right here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, see, it's right now. Let me find it. Here it is.
Okay.
It's right here. This came out right after the assassination. Lee Oswald, A Portrait in Red. It's on the Inca record label. You can see it right there. And if you look back, there's Dr. Alton Oshner right there, the surgeon of the South, and Hal Boggs, who was on the Warren Commission, and then Ed Scandell, who was a CIA propaganda expert. Typically, it's Dr. Alton Oshner on the back cover of this record. So if anyone asks the question, what do the Rolling Stones and Lee Oswald have in common? They both put out records in 1964.
I had no, so I have to just camp there for a second. I mean, every time we turn around, Jason, there's new information new truths being said about what happened during that time. So how and why did Lee put a record out? I mean, you're going to have to delve into that one just a bit more, because
Sure.
That's like a news thing to me.
Sure. So the fun thing is like anything new that comes out, I liked everything that came out then. I wanted the original broadcasts that came out then that they all swiped away. the reporters and the hospital doctors saying, we are sure there was a big crater entrance wound here and here and an exit wound there, and all got swiped away. But as far as this record, so Lee Oswald, when he was put up to his propaganda activities, of which Judith was a big part of, in fact, he would hand out these flyers that look just like this one here, called "Hands Off Cuba." This is not an original. This is a copy. Not to worry. But if you look closely, I hope it's not backwards, but it probably is. It says, "Oh, good. Lee H. Oswald at 544 Camp Street, New Orleans, Louisiana." Judith, by all accounts, cut these out with a scissors, and the remainder of the paper. This is not an original; it's a copy. But she cut out these kind of flyers with a scissors, and then the papers were discovered in the trash can. And Lee said, "No, Judith, you got to be more careful where you put those scraps of paper, because they're going to see about activities posing as pro-Castro." Of course, he wasn't pro-Castro. He was working for the government. He was anti-Castro, like with the Red Scare and all that. And so as part of that, he pretended. And being such a good actor that he is, I appreciated his theatrical abilities. We all should have such talents. They'd have him on the radio stations doing these hour-long interviews, put him up against these CIA propaganda experts, and talking about his defection to Russia. This was all tape recorded and put on a radio station, which was, according to this, it was radio station WDSU, and the program was called Launch, and it was in New Orleans. It's just a few weeks before the assassination, and then it came out as a double-sided record that they thought would help their case. Like a lot of the stuff like what Time Life put out, and how the New York Times put out a Warren Commission greatest hits book. So, this will just help seal the deal to show that Lee Oswald is capable of murder with this record. Meanwhile, just like it proves he's more innocent, and actually lists some of the guilty parties in there. It's such a simpler time, though. You have to appreciate their naivete.
Yes.
The plotters were so naive. They were good. They were they pulled it off. And I don't think there's too many of them left around, except I know we talk about James Files, of course, one of the shooters, and he's still around, of course. And I'm sure there's still.
I had him on the show. I want to say, Jason, 2 weeks ago. Now he is very ill, and so his wife. I had her on the show here on Patriots Prayer Network a couple weeks ago, which people can find it probably the easiest on Rumble or YouTube at the Patriots Prayer Network. But he was in the background because he was too ill to come before the camera. So she spoke a lot and shared the story. But yeah, he's been on here too. So that's amazing. And what's more amazing is no one's listening to. Well, they all want. I know Judith. She's trying so hard to get in front of get all of them in front of Congress to be able to give their testimonies while they're still alive. But they're having a difficult time getting. We the people will listen to them, but they're having a difficult time getting on record.
Yeah, I believe history is going to be the history book is going to be a tough one on this. Judith is our last chance. She's, yeah. I mean, no one else. We were amazing. It was amazing. She came out of the woodworks. It's of such a story, of such accuracy, and the whole love story angle of it. This is better than Shakespeare. I mean, it's the greatest love story ever told. Obviously, that's just Judith and Lee. And not to mention all the characters that are involved, obviously with the two brothers, and it's just like this is better than any history, or not, I don't mean better. I hate to turn into an entertainment thing. Unfortunately, that's maybe that's my fatal flaw, is that I try and turn tragic history into entertainment. Maybe that's not a flaw at all. But like Judith said, if we can't have a lighthearted look, if we can't laugh at this, if we can't laugh at ourselves a little bit, then what's the point? If we're just gonna be all miserable and is saying it's hopeless all the time. And so Judith stayed with me for a week in New York, with me and Tina here in New York. And she helped me vet out my play. We this whole screenplay based on her story. And she and it was quite an adventure. We did the town with Judith Berry Baker for about a week in 2018. And she showed us a good time. I'm not going to tell you otherwise.
That's exciting. That's exciting. And so whenever you debuted the performance, was she able to also attend?
So Judith was able to attend our debut performance, and if you look at the videotape of the YouTube link on YouTube, me and Lee the musical, Judith comes up on the stage at the very end. It means you got to watch the whole thing. I mean, I guess you could skip to the end, but who's going to know? Except for everybody who knows everything you're doing on the internet. If you skip to the end of my musical on the internet, everyone's going to know it. Okay, so you got to watch the whole thing. Don't even try that. But then
exactly.
Judith comes up for about a 10-minute interview, we bring her to the stage. The audience asks her questions. We gave her the royal treatment for sure, and she did us.
That's wonderful. So when you were talking to Judith, what surprised you the most when she was sharing the information with you so you could do the screenplay? What did she say or share that you thought, I had no idea?
I'm surprised she's even alive, and that she even and she's had many deaths against her. She's just so humble, and
Yes.
she's having an aunt over, a family elder, who deserved our respect. And she had no problem with our humble abode. And when I mean humble, I mean we definitely we let her sleep on the good bed for sure.
That's good, Jason.
But we we have a very simple, people would come to our house and say, this is some pretty simple living here for sure. For some city folk, our apartment's definitely not fancy, and but she had. But I don't think she really cares about fancy stuff, or even nice stuff. She doesn't even care. And she started jogging down the sidewalk. I mean, I guess the things like, well, the thing that surprised me, of course, is she carries around the three binders with her at all the times. It has her original Riley Coffee Company pay stubs in it. It has the money order that Lee sent for the fake Philadelphia chapter of the Fair Play for Cuba. All these things that historians have known about for years. She's got them right in a 3-ring binder that she carries around like a student going to school in a backpack. And so that's it's pretty impressive. The stuff, like she just is guarding this stuff with her life is so amazing. And Tina's
I wanted to add. I wanted to add, she's a brilliant person.
Yeah, she's highly intelligent. Her IQ is off the charts.
She remembers everything about every tiny detail of what happened. It is wow. Very impressive.
And it all adds up. It's not like she's coming from like some weird. Everyone else is coming from a weird space, and that's the thing. And it was really difficult getting her story out there. And there were a lot of negative comments on YouTube. And I tried posting it around, and people were like, "How can you believe her? She's a charlatan, or she's snake oil." Or I don't even know what they were saying, like the worst things about her. And she's like, "What are you guys doing? Just listen to her story. Have you actually talked to her? You can actually communicate with her on Facebook."
Yeah, incredible story.
Yeah.
It is an incredible story, and I know, since for all of the listeners during the time, so we had a lovely, I call her friend now, and we still stay in touch too. And for all the listeners, during the time of the assassination, she was an atheist, and now she's a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. And she loves the Lord, and she talks about Jesus all the time. And it goes to show me the love of God and how people can change. And so she is just an absolutely beautiful soul. And she is brilliant. I mean, our government recruited her out of high school to create cancer, to put in drugs. And she thought that her grandmother died of cancer. She thought she was helping humanity because ultimately that would create a cure for cancer, which, by the way, she says we have, and that's been hidden from us, and that the elites get to take whenever they have cancer. So I'm just throwing that out there as a side story. But she honestly thought she was helping people. And then she found out along the way that she was not. And then along the way, that's whenever Lee came along too, because she'll tell the story how our government wanted to kill Castro and they couldn't get the job done. So that's why they wanted to put cancer in a medication that was going to be given by a med tech to Castro at a regular medical exam. And frankly, folks, this whole thing should scare you because, just make you leery of not to be scared, but leery of medicine. You fast forward to what we've all been through, and this putting things into drugs we're taking without telling us what it is has actually been a thing from the government for a long, long time. So he was supposed to deliver that to someone in Mexico to get to Castro's MedTech. The person never showed. That's when he knew he was being set up. That was right before the assassination. And he told her, he thought something was going to go down and that he wasn't going to make it, whatever was going down. So that's just amazing.
And he was in too deep to get out of the project. People were like, why didn't you just leave the project? Because if he left the project, his whole Russian intelligence would be exposed, they would probably take his wife out and his baby girl, the second one was just born at that time as well too, and they would have gotten Judith. So it's just like, he had to take a stand.
And knowing all of this and meeting Judith and our lifestyle in general, when COVID came and what became mandatory or was going to be, we had no part in that. We were, we're in a liberal state with liberal friends who were just looking at us like we were crazy.
We lost friends over it.
We had to.
I got banned from venues because I wouldn't do the masking. I got thrown out of shows because I wouldn't.
Well, and thank you for your gentle conversation, because we're also airing live to YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
So we have to.
Oh, that's right. Sorry about
YouTube will blast you off.
I think we can be.
No, I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
No, you didn't. We're all being gentle. Yeah, we're all being gentle.
Sorry about that. I thought for some reason if we were past the 1 hour mark, it was anything goes.
Yeah, Jason.
Sorry
No,
about
I
that.
know you're teasing. No, you're fine.
No, we love Halloween. We love Halloween and Halloween masks. We love it. You put on a mask for Halloween. It's fabulous. Love it. Love it. Trick or treating. We want healthier candies for kids for Halloween. There's a lot of options besides these little chocolate bars. Is what I was talking about.
Jason, I love this.
Everybody.
I love this.
Thank you.
I love this. Yes, I love this.
Rewrite history and rewrite conversations as we go.
Yeah, so we definitely
done.
didn't fall in line with any of that. That was not nope.
We love Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead about
sorry. Oh yeah, but I'm still in touch with Judith. She still sends me $50 for Christmas every once in a while. Yeah, and I made her movie into a DVD, and we have an original audio soundtrack as well too. I just recommend everyone to check out the movie. It's a really sweet, it's a lighthearted look at a serious subject. Lee Oswald sings songs, Judith sings songs. It's a lot of fun. There's a weird thing about cancer. We have a lot of fun with it. Like I said, it's a lighthearted look at a serious subject. And then we interview Judith at the end at a live interview at the debut of the show, which she was at the show. Never forget it.
Did you say she sang?
Oh, well, the character does.
Oh, okay. I thought you said she did, and I thought, wow, she is extremely talented.
She's a good singer. In fact, Judith and Lee fell in love to the music of the Everly Brothers. That was her favorite. And we don't believe that Lee ever got to hear the Beatles, because that happened, like, obviously it's well known in history, immediately after the assassination, the Beatles landed.
Wow.
By a month or two, and then, but by all accounts, he might have heard Bob Dylan. So
she was telling me the story how her and Lee were in the library at college, and Dylan had just released his first album, and she said that they listened to it together, and that Lee told her, this guy's going to be famous.
That's amazing.
So,
That was the thing, and the thing about it is, like, that's what we like to do. Is, like, even though that's folk music and traditionally tied with the left and the radical stuff, it's like it all can come together as well too. It's just to be able to use music that way, and it's not like a political thing, for sure.
Right. That's right. It's not. And actually, nothing that we have talked about today is, I mean, including our initial discussion about the pigeons and saving the animals and being kind and good to each other. And so in the couple minutes we do have left, what would you like to leave with the audience? And also, what are the different ways that people can follow you or watch the performances?
If you're on Instagram, I'm Mother Pigeon Brooklyn on Instagram, and we post a lot there. Jason is Jason Trachtenburg on Instagram.
If you choose to go to that, also YouTube is a great way to check out all my music videos are up on YouTube on Jason Trachtenburg. You can. I'm easy to find, and also on Mother Pigeon's Impeccable Puppet Show.
Yep,
YouTube for all of our music and everything. I think YouTube's my best source these days, for sure.
Okay, and I want to spell your last name because we also have a radio audience listening. Trachtenburg.
Exactly right, and Jason Trachtenburg. And so we have a lot of great songs. We have a lot of fun with it, and would thanks for having us on. For
Yeah,
it
was so good to meet you, Lynn. Thank you for having us.
If you'd like to do a follow-up show on all of our favorite recipes or stuff like that, we're very open.
Sure, I would love to have you guys back on. It's just been a joy, just a joy and an honor to have you on. What your work is famous, and I know that all the listeners we have thousands of people watching live across various social media platforms. And thank you to everyone in the chat. I'm constantly seeing each person say, I'm reposting this now. I'm posting this now. I'm reposting it now. So it's spreading all over the internet, which I'm very, very grateful to those in the audience for doing.
Thank you, everyone, for doing that.
Yes, and I know you've been a blessing to everyone. And so until next time, this is the Lynne Scott Haggerman Podcast, where truth is rising, and so are we.
Bye, everyone.
Light breaks the shadow of the weary heart. Truth cuts the dark like a flaming dart. Voices rising strong.